Hi there, welcome to our channel. I'm Vic.
I'm Nick.
And we're Envy Board Gaming. And today we're looking at Point Galaxy. This is a game designed by Molly Johnson, Robert Melvin, and Sean Stankovich. Nick is going to go through how you play, and then we're going to give our review. And this is also published by Flat Out Games and AEG.
Hey everyone, welcome to the table. We are set up for a game of Point Galaxy. All right, Point Galaxy. This is a drafting game, essentially. And also you're trying to get points by different sets. So we're going to go over how we play. Right now we have a starting sun that everyone's dealt. That is indicated right there with the S at the top right corner. Shows that it is a starting one. We get that random. So it says I want green and pink planets. They have different patterns for those with colorblind issues. So you can always go by that as well. So on our turn, what it's going to look like is you're going to be drafting two cards. It can be any of these or any of these, two no matter what. When you draft those cards, if it's a sun, it is going to be slotted up top like this, and it is a different spot that you can put other planets. If it is a planet down here, it's going to go under the sun. What you're trying to do is go in sequential order, 1 through 7. It can go ascending, descending, doesn't matter. And then you have other things like moons. We'll get into those shortly. The game is going to end when we can no longer replenish. When there's 7 cards left, the game will end because the next player is going to take 2 of those cards. It cannot be replenished. So right now we have these 6 cards out, or dealt randomly out there, and we have 3 different columns. So here you might take a 2, or you might go ahead and take this 2, or you can go ahead and say, you know what, I want to collect these purple planets, or I want to collect moons and those researches. So we are, and this moon right here is something that says if it wants something around it. So in this case, it wants these 2 moons, one above, one below. If you meet that, you will get 3 points end the game. So let's go over everything there is that we have to talk about here. So suns is one way to score that you're going to get. So every set of, in my case, green and pink suns, or green and pink planets under this sun will score 2 points. I have to have sets of those pairs. So that is something I'm looking at this sun. However, this sun will score totally different, and they're totally separate. So if I have green and pink over here, it is worthless because this one under this sun wants purple planets. So if I had that, that would be what I'm looking for to file under this. And again, I want to be in ascending or descending order. So those are what planets are. You're going to take planets, you're going to put them in order. We have some other things to consider as well. You're going to want to fill as many planets in the order as possible, because that will score you different points. They'll score you better points. And the points we can go over right now, so you can kind of get a feel for what we're going for. There's a handy little aid right here, and it shows all the scoring. So your points from your sun, your points for unique numbered planets. Again, there's 1 through 7. So if you get all 7, it says you're going to get 12 points for that that system. You get points for moons that show right there if you've met the requirements on the moon. You're going to get points for research tokens. Research tokens are right here. You have these research icons, I should say. They're letters A through F, I believe. And again, if you have all of those, you will get 12 points. And that shows here, depending on how many you have, you will get more points. You're going to get points for rockets. So you see there's 10 rockets up here. There's more with different player counts. And you can get those if they're, and it says right there, for every multiple of 5 rockets that you have. And rockets are shown right here at the top right of your board. Right now, this is literally the only card you can take that will give you a rocket. You don't actually get a physical rocket until you have that 5th. That's when you get that physical rocket. And these are just different ways to score. So whatever you focused on more of, you can then say that you're going to take that rocket once you have 5, 10, 15, etc. Okay, then the last thing that scores are these asteroids. We don't have any out there, but they're very simple in that they, here we go, I just saw one, here we go. Whatever place you are with whoever has the most rockets. So you can place one of these above a sun, and whoever has the most is going to get 10, the second place 6, and the third place 2. So that's what asteroids do. They are just simply, you can have 1 per sun, you can't keep stacking them, and you're trying to get the majority, and they give you more points. So they do have even a rocket for that. So if you were focused on suns and asteroids, you can have one per asteroid that you have if you took that one. Okay, so on my turn, for example, there are things out here that I would look at to see if I might want this. When you slot planets, you can slot at the lowest or the highest. So let's just say my system was like this. I took these 2 cards because this one counts as pink, this one counts as blue. Perfect. I like it. Now you would say I'm going ascending or descending, so it looks like I've messed up a little bit. Now I can only fit the number 1 right here. However, I can go above. On my next turn, if this was available, even though it doesn't fit with that, that is not a rule. That is simply what scores points. I could, I'm not saying I could do this and put it up top. I can only go top or bottom. I could not fit it in between. But there are wormholes in this game. That's one last thing other than Planet X that I'll go over. There are wormholes that let you kind of reset your numbers. They don't impact negatively anything above them. But if you get a wormhole, see if I can find one for you. There is one. And I play that. I have now reset. So I no longer really care as far as sequence goes. I can now start at 1, 7, doesn't matter, right below this wormhole. And it gives me a rocket. That's nice. So I can do that. And the reason you would do that is because, like I said, you want as many unique planets as possible. So now I can actually fit a 3 in there, whereas it was impossible to fit a 3 there because I couldn't go between the 4 and the 2. So that's what wormholes do. They help you out in that regard. And one last thing I'll mention is there is a planet X right here. There are X planets. They have no assigned value. They are a wild. However, they're not a wild for the color. So it won't help me do any sun stuff like this unless there is a sun that says it wants these X planets. But in this case, this would not help me in that regard, but it would help me right there because now I have a 4, 3, and a 2, and it helps me with that planet scoring. You're going to play this game until, like I said, those last cards remaining on the board. It will end right then, so everyone will always have equal amount of turns, regardless if you play with 3, 4, 2 players. Doesn't matter. And that is how you play Point Galaxy. We're going to go back up top, and Vic and I are going to tell you what we think of the game.
All right, welcome back. Thank you so much, Nick, for the overview of Point Galaxy. It was out of this world.
Oh, didn't they?
So, this game was something that was in our anticipated games video. If you want to see that, go ahead and check that video out. We did a collaboration with Andrew and Sam at the beginning of the year of games that we were looking forward to playing. And so it did arrive, I guess, a couple weeks ago or a few weeks ago. We've had a chance to play it at 2 players. We played it at 3, 4, so different player counts with this one. We wanted to make sure we had a good feel for it before we went into a review. This game is not the most heavy or most difficult game, so it has a nice barrier. Doesn't have a big barrier to entry for us to play. We've played with young children to elderly grandparents as well. What are your first thoughts and impressions of Point Galaxy?
First thought on Point Galaxy is it is actually more complex than the other ones. It is more of a difficult. When you read the rules, you're like, "What? This isn't anything like Point City, except you're drafting cards."
Yeah.
Or Point City, Point Salad. So this is the third one, by the way, in this installation.
Yes.
The same designers, by the way. There's a designing team. So I felt like when I was reading the rules, it was a lot more. I was like, man, I don't know. I was going to teach this to a kid. And I was like, I don't know if I want to teach this to a kid. But
right.
I'm happy to report, once you understand the game, you can explain it a lot better than what they have written here, what they've typed out. May not make sense, but it is true. You'll notice that when you, and I don't think this is just me, I've talked to Andrew, the same kind of feeling, that it was maybe a little wordy, the rules. It seemed more complex than it was, because it's using, galaxy. You're scoring the galaxy, then you're scoring the sun area, and then you can put asteroids here, and you can put moons here, and it's not clicking until you play it. And then you can actually have the game out, explain what those cards mean, the wormholes. There's all kinds of stuff that you realize, like, man, they're adding a lot of stuff right now. But once you understand it one time, like most games, it is fairly easy to teach.
Yeah.
So, just a little note that you're going to maybe be a little overwhelmed if you're expecting Point Salad, because it's not that. Okay.
Yeah.
So this design team, I think they did a good job again. I feel it feels different, at least. So I'll say that. Whereas Point Salad, I would say, is the simplest game. I would say Point City has some things that remind me of other games. It reminds me of something like Splendor or Machikoro or something like that. It reminds me of you're building up that in a way that is familiar, like Century Spice Road, another example.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that. This one, I guess it reminds me of just a more beefed up Point Salad. The way you play it, I like that this game you can draft two no matter what. Instead of you have to do one on top or two on the bottom. I like you to pick two of whatever you want. I do like that a lot. I love the drafting in this game. I think this is, of the three, the best part is the drafting. Now, given you don't really draft in Point City, this one is heavy drafting. If you like drafting, if that's the main thing you like, I think this one excels at drafting. Now, if you like just the set collection part, then just stick with Point Salad. It's strong. It's set collection 101.
Mm-hmm.
This one, it feels like it is drafting. Heavy drafting. What do you need? You know, you get to open thing. You have two picks, whatever you need, whatever you want, whatever way you want to go. I like it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Vic?
Yeah, I agree with you. There is a heavy drafting component to it for sure, more so than just taking what is available to you and making it work somehow. You kind of have to be strategic in what you're picking up because of the way that they have the numbers of the planets going out. I know I've made that mistake the last time we played where I lost sight of how I was doing my sequential planets. And there is some leeway with the X planet that they have that helps out a lot. And then thinking about moons and what the moons are requiring and what the sun is going to score for that system and what you want to put there, and then ultimately the rockets, the blueprints with the tech letters that you want to collect those, and the research, that's the word. So there's so much to it, more than just grabbing a vegetable or getting a scorecard.
Yeah.
So I do agree with your sentiment there that it seems to be quite involved.
Yeah. So for me, the pros and the cons are pretty simple. The pros are going to be for people that want more to think about, more to consider when they draft. Like you just mentioned. Here, let's recap what you got to consider. You mentioned the research.
Yeah.
You mentioned, or we could talk about the moons.
The asteroids.
The asteroids.
The
where do you want to place? Getting multiples of 5 rockets. That's another thing to consider. The color of the planets, where you put your sun. Sometimes they want certain colored planets. The numbers that you want. Do you care as much about the points that are going to be scored in ascending or descending?
Yeah.
Or do you mostly care about rockets or research? Or what do you do? Moons?
And then what rocket are you going to get for scoring?
Yep. What rocket are you getting for scoring? What sun do you want? Mm-hmm. Does it kind of take some things away? You don't want too many of the same things, because let's say you want green planets for one sun, and then this one also wants green. Well, you probably don't want that sun then, because you're already trying to get greens here. There's quite a bit to consider for a little card game, Mm-hmm. I like that. So if I say that's the positive for people that want something like that. Mm-hmm. The negative is going to be if you don't want a big teach. If you wanted that simple, sweet, straight to the point salad is the one you want. That one is so easy to teach; it's incredible, mm-hmm. and it's fun. But you will burn out on it if you are a player that wants more. You will burn out on that one a little bit.
Go ahead.
And I was going to say the last thing. There's so many. Point City is more for the people that like games like Century Spice Road. Building, essentially getting better engines. Getting mm-hmm. more things and then using them as like a resource. Cards as a resource, which is fun too. They're all three fun for their own things. Point City is probably the most different from the three, but it is also more same to other games that you've maybe played before. So this one I think is probably the most unique of the three for me.
Yeah. So when it comes to the game, can you think of any negatives that you'd want to?
No, the only negative I had was that there is more of a barrier to entry for people that are concerned about that. This isn't probably the one. This isn't the starting point. This isn't the one you probably want to learn and teach to your, 8-year-old. You probably want to start with point salad.
Yeah, and how did you find the game scales between playing at 2 to 3 to 4?
No issues. I didn't have any issues. It does the same thing where Point Salad did, where you eliminate a bunch of cards at random. And it plays about the same. It has a finite number of turns. You always have the same number of turns. So I think it scales fine. There's no issue.
That was my thought too. I didn't, the fact that you're focused on your own galaxy, in a way you're trying to get what you need. You hope there's like tension when cards are being taken, that somebody doesn't take that perfect one, that was the perfect combination of color and number. So there is some drama when it comes to watching other players' turns. It is kind of fun to see what they end up doing. You should be mindful and seeing what they're picking and what their sons are like and what are they going to go for, especially with the turn orders. So it adds that element. I really like the theme, so I always enjoy space. I have to make a comment about that. I certainly enjoy the colors of the planets and the fact that they have the suns. I think it was a really smart way of laying out, rather than just having a tableau, putting cards in front of you, having to have that relation to the sun, having the moon's relation to different planets and what it might call for beside each other. How they did that was pretty clever. And I did like that they added rockets and all the things that we talked about already, that they did that beyond just like trying to draft colors of planets.
Yeah. So I guess we can move to scores. We had mostly positive things to say. So our scores are pretty positive. You want to go first?
Sure. So my score for this one is an 8.6. I really like it. It's fun and I enjoy playing it, and I will play it anytime.
Nice. That's a really high score.
Yeah.
Well, if you know my scores, I don't tend to scale these little card games as high. I'm still going to give it a 7.7. I really like it. But you think one of my favorite card games of all time got like a 7.8, and that was Battle Line. And I think Battle Line's a little better than this, just a little bit. So I was like 7.7. I'll give it a 7.7. It's just, it's not, these games I don't really pick. I pick them more lately because we have a newborn, so it gets out quicker. We don't have a lot of time. Maybe we'll just play something like this.
Yeah.
I do like it for that. I think it's a great game. I prefer it over all the others. My personal taste. It's not as clean as Point Salad, but it's more fun to me. I enjoy my decisions immensely more than Point Salad, which is still a great game. I think you should own it if you need the family style game. That plays at like 6, I think, which is excellent.
Right.
So, this one is a nice, amazing step up for Point Galaxy. My personal favorite of the 3. Your personal favorite, too?
Yeah.
Like 8.6. All right. There is our review of Point Galaxy.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy the Point Galaxy, Point Salad, Point City family, if you have played any of those 3 games, let us know in the comments below what your favorite is and why. We'd love to hear from you and see some conversation when it comes to the Point family. And if you enjoyed this video, please click the like, thumbs up, and subscribe for more great reviews. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.